I recently had a change of opinion concerning AI art, and that is unusual on my end because often I think I have a very logical opinion. I don't change my mind very often, which is why I have made a glorious PowerPoint presentation. I used to screw with AI art quite a bit, and I'll get into that in a second. So first, to actually explain what changed, why I'm thinking different right now, I want to discuss previous perspective, and then I'll discuss individual points as they come. First off, this happens a lot. People call AI art theft. That's immediately false, just on its face. So my go-to equivalence is piracy is not theft, as demonstrated right here. Piracy is legally copyright infringement. And that's still bad, but it's disingenuous to call it theft because it's not theft on any functional level. AI art has a leg up over even that because AI pieces are fully transformative of the material being put into them. There is no copyright infringement by any law and any legal standard. If you wanted it to be considered stealing or its own crime equivalent to stealing, that needs to be an entire new legal framework, which I don't believe is appropriate because of the transformative nature of computer-generated images. Another spot that people bring up that I would respond to is job loss. No one likes losing jobs. No one likes being in a spot where they're unemployed. But my go-to is the handcrafted chair and the mass-produced chair. If a factory opens and it can produce 100 chairs a day, and that leaves 100 carpenters unemployed, does that make the existence of the factory somehow an immoral existence? The answer is obviously no. There is no reason that we cannot set up a factory that mass produces chairs. Jobs being lost sucks, but that's not an inherent evil. So it's a poor point that I see people bringing up quite often. And then the big one that bothered me, and it still bothers me now because it sounds disingenuous, when people call it bad. So this is mine. I did this. This took me probably 30 to 45 minutes because I was having trouble with the shape. And this is what the AI produced nearly immediately. So you could argue that tail bit doesn't look natural. But outside of that, because it has this nice kind of painted aesthetic, I don't think anyone without being given the preface of it's an AI art piece, if shown this and not forced to study it, would conclude that this is somehow a bad piece. But anti-AI art people are really aggressive about how it's not even good. That's just not accurate. And then they'll also argue there's no creative benefit to it. This is my design for a D&D monster based around greed. He has gold rings and he has that cool shape going on. I designed the initial model in Blender. I ran it through a stable diffusion image to image converter, and I made this. You can see it has the same framing. I call attention to this because there's clearly a creative merit that exists whenever it's my design and I'm using AI to enhance it, and that creates my finished design. And as a follow-up to that point, this is my Smoke Gnomes video that I made back in, I want to say 2023, and you can see that there's a clear effort of editing to explain and arrange the Smoke Gnome species. The AI art in this case was meant to be a complement to the writing, which is the thing I actually wanted to talk about and I actually wanted to explore in interesting detail. So if you look at this and you say there's no creative merit, I'd call you wrong. And lastly, and this is probably one of the larger influences on original AI perspective, anti-AI people have gone very toxic. This does not prove or disprove any stance. This is similar to a few other arguments I've seen. But you don't really want to associate with people who are highly aggressive that you thought you were going to have a civil discussion about. And it's not just the aggression, it's the fact they're calling this bad, the fact that they're saying there's no creative merit, the fact that you call it theft when it does not resemble anything we have ever called theft. This creates the impression of bad faith, and I think maybe they do believe it, but those arguments on their own are really bad on a logical level, and this led me to be like, I think AI art's cool, and I was using it all the time at the time. There is a concept called the flash of genius, basically the moment you had an idea or your mind changed or whatever. And I would be skeptical of anyone who ever tells you that they changed their mind without explaining the moment that their mind was changed, especially when it's on a popular matter that someone could be grifting on for money. I have the convenience of not having a revenue stream associated with this channel, so you don't have to doubt me, but I was playing Vintage Story. Vintage Story is a Minecraft-like game that has a vision for a high survival design, and I would recommend it if you can find a good multiplayer server to play Vintage Story on. On single player, it's a little dull, I'm not gonna lie. You play on multiplayer, you join voice chat, is fantastic. And I was having a conversation with someone on a Vintage Story server about AI art, computer-generated images, and he wasn't aggressive. He was a nice guy. I like talking to him. He said the average YouTube video thumbnail click-through rate is way lower on AI thumbnails. And I would cast a little doubt out on that, on the grounds that if there is an AI thumbnail that looks human, people would be more willing to click on it because what's going on is the repulsion to AI. But ignore my doubt, because what matters here is the repulsion to AI. If I'm making YouTube videos, which is when I was using AI at my most, my goal was to entertain. The images I used needed to share that goal. Therefore, the image's goal was to entertain. If using AI for the purposes of the entertainment bombed the value of that entertainment to the viewer, I've completely ruined the entire point. A strong equivalence to this would be whenever you're watching YouTube and someone gets political. The presence of that political perspective, and when I say they go political, I mean they go political against you, because if they're for you, you don't care. But the balance of that political perspective that you do not like in your entertainment sours it. And there has been multiple times where I've watched YouTubers and they start talking about politics. I'm like, I'm not having fun anymore. And I just ditch the channel. And it's a very similar effect to what's going on right here with the AI art, is losing sight of the goal, because the goal's not to make a video I like. The goal's to make a video people will like. And that brings us back to the other points that were being made. Is it bad? It's cheap. That's what's going on here. It is cheap. And that does create an impression of quality. It will also only ever produce the most generic version of a project. I have a lot of things where I either had to draw it myself or commission people, because what's going on is you need something very specific that you're not getting out of what you're requesting. And then there is the impression that's sloppy. Now, I would not call all uses of AI sloppy, but people care about effort, and a perceived lack of effort is worse than a perceived lack of skill. I included here a screenshot of 2 news articles. A fantasy novel wrote a book, and he used AI in the creation of the book. He requested the AI rewrite some of his prose in the style of another more popular author. And when he published the book, there was a little paragraph just right in the middle of it that said, I have rewritten your paragraph, your prose or whatever, in the style of author name. Thank you, blah, 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 blah. AI dialogue. And that creates a sloppy impression. And people don't want to consume sloppy material. That's just gross. That brings me to a quote that I pulled out. If it takes time to fix it, take the time. Muller is a YouTube channel that makes reviews of movies, and he'll go through and he'll break down everything wrong with the movie. That little piece of information, the if it takes time to fix it, take the time, that's a very good piece of advice. Now, admittedly, currently I'm running a cheap PowerPoint. That's because this is a pastime as it exists. But if I run something through the AI, there's a solid chance I am not taking the time to fix it. That is a trend I have noticed. People who use AI do not have a tendency to edit their AI. It's worse in the art situation, because how would I even begin fixing an AI art that's screwed up? And then we go back to job preservation. The sudden shift of previously skilled workers now being out of their positions on its own is not immoral. I still stand by that perspective, but preserving jobs isn't a bad thing. It is better to have people employed than unemployed. And if the artist skill set vanishes, because right now a big thing with artists is you learn from other artists, I don't think it's coming back. I could be wrong. There is a lot of books, there's a lot of written material on learning art, but I disagree. And lastly, there is the deception component. If you as an audience do not want to consume AI, this is one of the larger factors that's starting to make me feel uncomfortable. Before, if I made something with AI, it looked like this. You could tell this was AI. I was not in any way hiding that fact. We are moving to a zone where people are hiding that fact. People are not taking an effort to disclose that information to people who should care whenever they consume the content. Right here, I have a photo from a news article. This is from VO3, the latest video generation model. That is photorealistic. If you showed me that and told me that was a camera, I would believe you. And I don't have the video available, but he speaks in this. He speaks, and the dialogue is also AI, synced with his voice, and you might argue the audio's a little off, but it looks very realistic, and if you are not sitting there with your head on a swivel, you would not notice it. So in the future, I have vaguely learned to draw as I need original designs, and I will be doing this PowerPoint presentation format because I can produce this a lot easier. Thank you for your time.